3 Australian workers, 3 different states, 3 daily commutes. And yet, they'll all tell you the same thing dominates their lives.
With the traffic.
For the traffic?
The traffic.
On average, we're spending 3.5 hours commuting by car each week. In 15 years, that's forecast to increase by 25%. It's already having a radical effect on how we live and where we work. Infrastructure Australia suggests that we need to spend $600 billion on infrastructure over the next 15 years.
The outlook is bleak, and that is congestion costs will double by 2034.
It's 7:30am in Western Sydney. Midwife Kelly Wright is heading home from an overnight shift.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
You do have quite a long commute home this morning. Is it because you couldn't find work near your home or a home near your work?
I accept it because it is part of what I do, and I guess in some ways it's a little bit of time to myself. Night after night, like if you're doing 4 nights in a row, which is what I do, yeah, it does make you a little bit more tired.
Kelly Wright's commute, even though it's against the traffic, is long. She has an hour-and-a-half intercity commute, leaving Auburn Hospital at 7:30am, reaching her home on the Central Coast around 9am, to then drop the kids at school.
It definitely takes a toll on my health. Yeah, it's hard work after a 10-hour shift to know that, you know, you still have an hour and a half of travel time, or really like that's 2 to 3 hours a day extra on top of a 10-hour shift.
People are changing where they want to live for a whole lot of different reasons. Some of that is quality of life. Some of that is cost of living. They can't afford to live in the inner city, so they may choose to live, for instance, on the outer edge of a city. So they will then rely on a car. When we look at the average household spend on infrastructure, the highest is actually not energy, it's transport.
By 2031, delays for Sydney road users are forecast to increase by 25%, adding another 11 minutes per day. That's despite a 39% increase in public transport trips. Kelly is hoping that a new 10-kilometre long tunnel will shorten her commute.
All I know about the North Connects is that it's meant to be a tunnel that the trucks are able to use, so freeing up the Pennant Hills Road, which is a massive congestion issue.
This is what Kelly is hoping will improve her commute to and from work. The $3 billion North Connex tunnel under the congested roads of Sydney above. According to Infrastructure Australia, more and more of these kind of mega projects need to be in the pipeline for us to be keeping up.
If infrastructure investment does not continue and reform does not continue, that will mean people will spend more time in a car if they're driving by car, and that's 7 out of 10 people travel by car. Or if they're in public transport, that could mean more overcrowding.
In Queensland, Southport resident and lawyer Christine Smythe spends up to 3 hours a day commuting. She leaves the Gold Coast at 6:30am, uses the Bruce Highway and reaches her busy Brisbane legal practice by 9am.
I have a lot of staff that don't live close by to the office, and invariably every day a number of those staff are late to work. So from a management point of view, you have to accommodate for the reality of the traffic. It has a very deep effect on the economy. It has a very deep effect on individuals.
How congestion can reduce productivity in real terms is time. So time stuck in a car, waiting, and that has been predicted to continue to increase. Lost time at work, lost time with family, lost time with friends. It's time.
Today, Christine's commute is more painful than usual.
Right about now, my right back is hurting quite a bit because I've been sitting for nearly 2 hours.
By 2031, delays for Brisbane road users are forecast to increase by 41%, or another 16 minutes per day. That's despite an extra 278,000 trips on public transport.
Is the reason why we have such an infrastructure lag because the state and Commonwealth governments haven't played nicely when it's come to infrastructure planning?
I'm not sure I'd say we have an infrastructure lag. We have incredible challenges facing our infrastructure across Australia. We're a very big country, but is a very urbanised country with these trends coming through that is changing the expectations of Australians. And so we really are just playing catch up to this changing world that we're living in at the moment.
Have a good day.
IT worker Jared Liggett is leaving for work from his new estate in Melbourne's north. From his home in Calcalo, he has a 45-minute commute to his office in Gladstone Park.
I would consider myself a bit of an angry driver. I don't say anything, but I definitely show it on my face when people bother me.
Jared says he suffers from a lag of infrastructure around his new build estate, one of the fastest growing areas in Australia.
During peak hours, it's pretty rubbish. Just getting out of my estate can take up to 10 minutes sometimes. And then along some of the roads, there's a fair bit of stopping and starting for the traffic.
By 2031, delays for Melbourne road users are forecast to increase by 23%, adding 10 minutes to the daily commute. That's despite an extra 785,000 trips on public transport.
Yay, we made it.
Commuting pressures have changed us. While Kelly hopes the North Connex will improve her day in the short term,
I like where I live and I like where I work, but unfortunately they're just not near each other.
in the long term, trends show commuters like her are now moving back to the city to avoid their commute.
So the 70-year dominance of urban sprawl has definitely changed in the eastern cities of Australia. If you look at Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne, for instance. So there's been this change where before we had, our cities were really sprawling. There's been a shift. Congestion and overcrowding will be the new normal if we don't continue to have focus on infrastructure investment and reform.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.